What's up, y'all? You already know it's OPEX. So today I'm trying out my new little cell phone stand. And I tried it earlier and it didn't hold up very well. So I'm going to try this video again. In fact, I'm going to switch my whole topic because I don't like repeating myself. But I got some really cool videos on the way. And yeah, I didn't want to make a video until I had a place for that cell phone. So hopefully this spot is okay. Hopefully. If my cell phone falls, I'm sorry. I got like a little sticky pad and it can't get any more stuff to it, I guess. But there's a lot of vibration and I see the camera moving already. So I don't know how this is going to work out. I think we're fine. So, what do we want to talk about today? Today, I've been thinking a lot about global government. Now, to be completely honest, I haven't touched base on this nearly as much as I should have. I made that video, Russia versus the West. Definitely check out that video, check out all my videos. Most of them are pretty enlightening. Few of them are boring, but most of them are pretty enlightening. So, I want to talk about global governance. There's clearly been a move for global domination on this planet for a long, long time. You've seen some of the political leaders talk about a new world order, where they want global government. This has definitely been in the works for a long time, and it's generally talked about in the West, not the East. The East doesn't seem to be trying to get global power from one source. The West wants to control the world. Now, for a long time, I don't really want to dive into some aspects of this. I just want to go into the 101. I don't want to craze you out with different aspects and theories and proof. But I do want to talk about a little bit about these people in power. Let's say the presidents to the people behind the presidents, the corporate leaders to the Rothschilds, to Henry Kissinger, to David Rockefeller. Now, these are big names that pretty much everyone knows. The DuPont family, I mean, these are pretty big names. So, let's start here and talk about what they're doing in their plan to orchestrate a world government. Now, they have a way to control nations, but they can't control all the nations all at once. They have to take them nation by nation. There's a few superpowers out there that they cannot control yet. And if they were to try to control it, it'd be much more difficult. I.e., Russia, China. China and well, especially China has an approach where their acts of war indicate construct of measures of economic warfare, like selling all the items to the United States and judge their economy or alter their economy based on what they want. Then there's warfare like going actually into the United States, like for example, the Bank of America. The Bank of America is owned by Chinese, and I've known that for a while. I don't know if they're still run by the Chinese. I assume they are. I know they were founded by the Chinese. Bank of America is a Chinese bank. Right here in America. Americans, like the politicians and shit, Harry Reid selling land to the Chinese and such in the United States. So we're looking at China being able to take over other countries in terms of economic and purchasing land, getting into the system themselves and being part of it and winning on it. So the way that the Chinese win is through strategic economic warfare, using their higher IQ to win a nation, or at least to find some common ground with that nation to control some aspects of it. And to think that China doesn't have their hand in U.S. economy is a little far-fetched to think that. They have their hands a lot into our country. So, Russia hasn't been doing much to any type of attacks, warfare of any kind on the U.S., right? So they want to create ways of saying that Russia's the enemy. Russia's hacking the elections. Russia's, basically it's all fucking fabricated by the West. And it's all a lie. It's all a fucking lie. Talking about why Russia's bad and the whole nine. It's all a lie. The U.S. U.S. and the West want to destabilize Russia because they have a goal. What's that goal? Global governance. What's Russia doing? Becoming nationalistic. So, watch my video, Russia and the West, where I detail a lot in that. I think I did. I remember it was a good video. So, they're trying to say Russia's the bad guy. We've been trying to go after Russia for years, trying to make sure that they are not powerful so they can succumb to banking and all the strategies of the West to control a nation, which they've been doing for centuries, if not thousands of years. And Russia used to be communist. We actually didn't have that much of a coup or not much of a problem with Russia when they were communist. Then they became nationalistic, more capitalistic, more Christian, and all of a sudden, now they're the enemy, right? Well, they can't directly attack Russia because it'll provoke a World War III. America, the West, in general, a little too smart for that. So they have to use ways of saying that Russia's the enemy, and we can't just have an attack on them, but they're trying to make the minds of the people think that they are the bad guys, which there's no proof of them being the bad guys. Oh, they have troops in their own country. Oh my God. It doesn't fucking matter. We have troops in our country. You know what I mean? I see army tanks all the time going down, maybe not driving on the road, but, on the back of a trailer or something. And military vehicles driving down the expressway. I see trainee stuff happening in America. So when you see that in Russia, what the fuck's the problem? If we're doing it, right? Anyways, let's dive into this guy. There's always this guy. There's always this guy that wants to get in an accident. Doesn't know how to drive. Gotta watch out for these four-wheelers. Alright, so, where was I? Global governance. So, in the past, we wanted to take over Russia and destabilize it. We wanted to create the aspect of, okay, we took down Germany, we took down a few superpowers, and right now is the perfect time to get Russia. They're getting very powerful and they're in competition with us, but we have an agenda to take over the world. They don't, but at the same time, we have a much more population-based society. The West is a lot bigger than Russia. Russia's the biggest country in the world. However, is it? Is it bigger than Canada? Don't quote me on Russia being the biggest, but I know it's gigantic. It's like 3 US's. But there's a lot more in the West. There's Europe, there's the North America, etc. And we wanted to start a war with Russia and get them out of the picture as soon as possible. But we didn't want to enlight or encourage a World War III because they could possibly lose. And they didn't like that. They had China, they had other countries on their back. They have the Middle East. That's going to play a key role in what I'm about to talk about. So Russia has some allies where they're like, we're nationalistic, get the fuck away from us, but Russia's a superpower. So, of course, Iran, right, is a ally of Russia, been for years. So we couldn't necessarily do anything to provoke a war with Russia because we were kind of, in a sense, not scared of them as much as them just being a threat in general. And so we had to start taking what we can get, the small, the puppies, before we can get the big bulldog. That was a weird way to put it. So we got to go into the Middle East, so we reworked our strategies through the UN, saying the U.S. is legally able to go into Iraq, Afghanistan, etc. And the way they did that was 9/11. To orchestrate new laws so they can go in strategically, take over parts of the Middle East, and invade that way. Of course, what's the strategy? The strategy is to destabilize the Middle East, turn them into the West, more or less. I mean, obviously, we're not really doing that, but we're trying to make them as destabilized, and that they're not an opposing threat. But we can't get places like Iraq, Syria ourselves because the UN basically would not allow it. If you actually went in there to threaten Russia, right? Russia would have to respond. And the UN can't do anything about that, right? About them responding. But if you go in and arm rebels, let's say in Syria, Afghanistan, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, if you arm the rebels there to go against the narrative like ISIS and Al-Qaeda and all that shit, right? And you arm them, then you can get those countries to be destabilized for free. I mean, yeah, you're paying for it, but you're not actually going into war with Russia, but you're weakening that side. So it's a strategic plan. And now there's not much more to be done in the Middle East. We've fucked up everything, right? Now Russia's on the plate again. And we're trying to get Russia on the plate. I'm talking about the media and shit, right? The Western media and shit. So when you're looking at global governance trying to take over, that's what it is. That's the strategic plan of getting into Russia, even though you don't see any proof of Russia being a threat to us, because they're not a threat to you and me. They're a threat to the global government agenda, the New World Order agenda. And because they're a threat to the New World Order agenda, they need to be taken care of now, because they're getting a lot of traction. They're becoming the strongest nation that they've been in ever, right? Now, U.S. and Russia in a straight-up fight would be pretty fucking deadly, right? Lots of casualties, the world would be hell. It could be nuclear fallout, etc. And not to mention, Russia still has some strong allies. And so if they can somehow get Russia to be the enemy of China or something like that, we can start working our way in like that. And that's what they're working on. They're working on the world to come together to be one. That's what the League of Nations was originally designed for. That's what the UN became. And they can't just go ahead and do what they want because there's going to be resistance. And because we've destabilized more and more and more, and we pretend to give aid to places like, you name it, Kuwait, or let's say Haiti, we're pretending to give help in these places. They're not going to do anything to go against this New World Order. In fact, they don't even basically know it exists. They're so poor and helpless that they think that we're like a godsend to them whenever we come in with like 1,000 pounds of food for the whole country. So that's the strategic events that are taking place right now. We need to, I keep saying we, the global government needs to destabilize Russia. Because once they destabilize Russia, they can take down China. And China's a lot more easy to take down because than if they were back with Russia. That's for sure. Because Russia and China together, we don't have a prayer in the West. Those two are some powerful superpowers, and you got to understand, this is an agenda that's been going around for a long time. People used to think it was specific countries doing this, like Britain taking over everywhere, right? Everywhere down to Australia, to South Africa, to America. Trying to take over everything. The Brits, the British are coming in the United States, right? Their goal was global government. However, it wasn't the Brits' goal. It was the elites. This is an agenda that's multi-generation, multi-century. They've been doing it for, I ain't afraid to say it, thousands of fucking years. And they're getting, this is as close as they've ever gotten to the globe. So, understand that there are places in the East that are starting to become more and more controlled by the West. There's even U.S. bases in places that, all around there. All around Russia, in Asia. So, think about it that way. Their agenda's happening. And when you see something like in the media talking about Russia being bad, start thinking, wait a second, you want global governance so you can control the fucking world? And you're telling me that one of the freest, not the freest, but the most capitalistic country in the world is, the bad guy? Okay, wait a second. Take a step back, analyze the situation. What the fuck do you have to, why do you have to think this way? Why do they want you to believe the bullshit that they're pushing? Why? Because they want to use you. They want to manipulate the masses to believe that their agenda is righteous, even though they have no proof. So what they're trying to do is make these fake narratives, and they might even try to push, and I definitely believe they would have to at some point, push something real that, they might have to poke the bear a little bit and have Russia bring troops, and then they'll be like, it's an all-out war. And then you're like scared for your lives. Oh, it's Russia, the evil doers. Well, who's poking the fucking bear? It ain't Russia. Russia's strategically defending themselves. Like, imagine playing checkers. Have you ever played checkers and it was a stalemate for like the longest? Right? That's what Russia was doing. Think of it like this. You have two kings left in checkers versus one king in checkers, right? But you don't have them checkmated at that point, and you go around the fucking checkerboard trying to get this one fucking king that can go any direction, but you can't, and you have more forces. But their defensive moves were just perfect to avoid those two kings the whole way around the board. So think of it like that. They were just strategically defending themselves, and we're just poking away. We're going after them with two kings, and they're defending with one king. It's a weird way to look at it, but it makes sense. Now, I'm not going to dive into the agenda. I don't want this video to be too long, but I do want to dive in, explain to you the reason for the Middle East, which is quite obvious once you're aware of what's going on and the agenda. It becomes a lot more obvious. So, definitely look at it like that. I mean, they're not trying to appease the people as much anymore, but at the same time, they still have their agenda. And they're going to push through the cracks and have the narrative where you follow their backs. Yeah, oh, 9/11 happened. Let's go destabilize the Middle East so you can control more of the world. They don't give a fuck about you. Now, there are some elites that do, but that's a video for another time. But what they just want is control of your mind. Read the book 1984. You'll understand pretty much how they feel about you and how they want to control you. And look at the Georgia Guidestones and, quite obvious things that go with this agenda. All right, so that's about it for now. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope this gets you to kind of like think and understand that. I mean, I made so much content about this on side tangents, but not directly in this. I talked about Russia and the West. I talked about media deception and turn off your TV. I've talked about a lot of this shit, all right? So I hope you guys get something out of this, and I don't know. Stay aware, my friends. Stay aware. Peace.